Bragg Memorial Stadium is the site of amazing Saturdays in the fall. It's been the home of championship football since its construction in 1957. Built with state appropriations, the initial stadium held 10,700 fans. Jake Gaither personally oversaw the construction of the original Bragg Stadium. But it was not always the home of Rattler football. The first games were played south of campus in an old field. There was just one problem though. There were no restrooms within a quarter mile. Eventually, the first on-campus field was on a prime patch of terrain next to Sampson Hall and Coleman Library. This area is now home to the Robert P. Griffin Track. For football games, the dorm and the library provided restroom facilities for fans. Additionally, the hills on the side of the field provided more than suitable seating for thousands. In the early 1950s, FAMU, as it was called at the time, petitioned the state for an athletic facility in an open patch on campus to house both football and the university track. But where did the Bragg name come from? In the early 1900s, State Normal and Industrial College for college students began expanding its athletic offerings. The first visionary athletic director was brought in to move things forward. At the time, FAMU President Dr. Nathan B. Young, who previously had taught at Tuskegee Institute, hired a former student from Tuskegee to lead the athletics department. His name, Juby Bragg Sr. The trained blacksmith oversaw progress at the athletic department, including laying the groundwork for FAMU's building of a successful football program. Doris Robinson, grandson of Juby Bragg Sr., still lives in Tallahassee and has fond recollections of his grandfather.
Juby Bragg Sr. was my grandfather, and my mother is his daughter, so I am his grandson from his daughter. But I do remember him, he was not a talkative guy, he said everything real short. But like I said, he was up in age then, and I was real young. Like I say, I was 10 years old when he died, so he died in 1947. But I remember him, one of the things I remember about him that we had together is that he liked ice cream, and so did I. And I would go by and get ice cream from the old dining hall and put it on his ticket. What I got from being his grandson, and he believed in athletics, number one. You could tell by all the pictures in the football and baseball and his sons. He even had a tennis court in the yard when my mother and her brother was young. Now, what black man would have a tennis court, in his yard back then? Juby, my grandfather had a son named Eugene. He was the oldest son, the one who played football. But he was the oldest son, and people thought his name should be Juby. So they called him Juby and didn't call him by his name. Most people didn't even know his real name. They called him Juby, even though that wasn't his name. He had a brother named Juby. But they called him Juby because he was the oldest son, and that's the name they thought he ought to be. So that's what they called him. And even like I said, even in the papers, they put Juby. I don't think anybody ever wrote Eugene. So a lot of people who came up during that time would probably dispute you and say, no, his name was Juby. But that was not his name. His name was Eugene. So that's how it got mixed up, I believe.
Eugene was one of the first superstar football players at the university and is one of the school's first known All-Americans. The Braggs had a great family tradition at FAMU. Since 1957, Bragg Stadium has seen a few changes. In 1980, it was upgraded to a capacity of 25,500, with the removal of the track that lined the field previously. In 2018, FAMU installed an artificial turf surface at Bragg Stadium, much like most of NCAA Division I stadiums in the country. In 2020, the Blueprint Intergovernmental Agency granted FAMU $10 million to make renovations to the stadium and upgrade seating and ADA access. RAM Construction and Development has been diligent in the demolition and reconstruction of Phase 1, which is the student side, and Marching 100, or east side of Bragg Stadium. The new seating, walkways, and fencing will provide for a great game day experience. The reinforcement and new black magic coating of the beams that support the stadium will add to the style. And last but not least, the new aluminum seating is much louder when fans are stomping and rooting for the Rattlers. Thank goodness for Juby Bragg Sr. and Eugene Bragg, the namesakes of Bragg Memorial Stadium, for excelling athletics at Florida A&M University.
I think about it all the time. I knew he would be very proud, and I tell you the truth, I don't ever want to see Bragg Stadium named none any other way but Bragg Stadium. I'm a family member, so I know I'm prejudiced, but I know he would be ecstatic to learn that his legacy has gone this far, because he's been there for 74 years already.